Hey guys, what's up here? We're going to do a little bit of a different video today on Evolve Gaming. I'm going to take you guys through the process of that I go through when I'm building a deck. And for today, I thought we'd do a fun one in Dark Magicians. But before we get to that though, I kind of want to go through kind of the basic laws that I'm going to be using consistently through this video and future videos that we use when deck building. So number one, we need to find a goal. We need to know what this deck is going to do and how we're going to accomplish that goal. The goal varies from deck to deck, whether it be to just OTK your opponent or to just overwhelm them with resources. It doesn't really matter as long as we have a goal. Number two, sorry guys, I was a little sick over the past week if you can't tell. Number two, we need to avoid as many two-card interactions as possible. And what I mean by that is we want cards that generate resources by themselves. They don't need any other cards to play. They just generate advantage by themselves. And number three, we have to incorporate something to kind of deal with the current meta in some shape or form. So with that out of the way, let's talk about Dark Magicians. This archetype is able to do very silly things. It's not bad, but it's also not the greatest either. It can attack your opponent directly and say GG and declare that they're the best. But aside from that, let's get to the deck. So we need to look at all the Dark Magician cards first and foremost and kind of figure out what it is we're going to be using and how we're going to be using them, as well as our goal. Let's look through these cards first. Okay, so Dark Magician has a ton of cards here. Entirely way too many, honestly. So first and foremost, let's just go with the guy we need in order to run this deck, which doesn't show up here, so it's Dark Magician. Let's use that one, because why not? And now we'll go back to the Dark Magician stuff. So the goal that I thought about when making this deck is, let's try to combine the Dark Magician stuff with another archetype. Before the ban list, I was doing this with True Draco because Magician's Level 1 True Draco cards was absolutely ridiculous. But now that Diagram kind of got hit to 1, it's a little inconsistent. It's harder to play that deck. So I was looking for other archetypes to combine it with, and what I came to the conclusion was that Shaddolls are Dark Spellcasters. They work pretty well with other cards in the Dark Magician archetype, and Winda is actually a really good card in this format, and Shaddoll Fusion is, well, if you resolve Shaddoll Fusion from the deck, it's a blowout in some cases. So our goal for this deck will be to establish Winda as fast as we can and back it up with some Dark Magician interruption. So let's look at these cards here. Amulet Dragon we don't care for. Apprentice Illusion Magician. Our Shaddolls don't benefit off of the discard cost, so we can't use that. Bond between teacher and student relies on other cards for that to be good. Has to do a lot of these cards. So for the sake of it, just missed one. We'll just fast forward here to Dark Magical Circle. This card is able to add a card by revealing the top 3 cards. You add one spell or trap card that specifically lists Dark Magician in its card text and add it to your hand. This card is able to generate advantage by itself as per rule number 2, so we go ahead and add that card to the deck. Magician's Navigation. People are like on and off about this card. For this particular build, I don't think there's a space for it, but I don't think this card is terrible either. You can play with it as you see fit. 1 copy at most, but we're not going to run it. Eternal Soul. This card is what allows you to grind, essentially, being able to put up a Dark Magician every turn, as well as trigger your Dark Magical Circle, which banishes a card every time you summon a Dark Magician. this definitely allows you to grind where other decks might not have that advantage. So we'll run 3 copies there as it's able to give us advantage on its own. Magician of Dark Illusion relies on interaction during your opponent's turn, and it's not very good. It's not good enough for us to warrant running it in our deck. It doesn't really do enough. Magician's Rod. We'll add 3 copies of this card, spoiler alert. On summon, it adds a spell or trap that includes Dark Magician in its text, so that's pretty good. Also, while it's in the graveyard, when you activate the spell or trap, you contribute 1 spellcaster to add this card back to your hand. So this is another card that allows you to keep searching your resources in the deck, and it's pretty good in that aspect. Magician Soul. Obviously, what kind of Dark Magician deck wouldn't have Magician Soul in it? If you can't afford this card in real life, for whatever reason, they might be able to escape by playing the Spellbook engine, but I haven't really tested that yet. That's up to you guys to decide. And lastly, I think Soul Servant. Soul Servant is a card that's able to draw you more cards based on the number of cards that you have in the graveyard. I believe it's 1 Dark Magician. Let's see. Dark Magician Girl, and Palladia monsters. And I believe there's 2 Palladia monsters, which I'll check out in a little bit. Yep, Oracle Mana and Oracle Mahad. And Dark Magician Girl herself. So you can draw up to 4 cards off of this card, which is really good. And then with Shaddoll cards, you're able to dump these cards in the graveyard. Magician Soul is also able to dump cards in the graveyard. So even though this goes against some laws here, we'll play 1 copy of this and 1 copy of Dark Magician Girl. Now, I said that the goal of this deck was to fusion summon Winda as quickly as possible. So Shaddoll Fusion is 1 card that can bring out Winda, but also Secrets of Dark Magic can also bring out Winda. So since we're focusing on bringing out Winda as fast as possible, we're going to play 3 copies of Secrets of Dark Magic, as it's able to fusion summon Winda by using at least a Dark Magician or Dark Magician Girl, and then a Shaddoll monster. We can also play 1 copy of the Dark Magician as another fusion target for Secrets of Dark Magic, and I think that's about it for our Dark Magician stuff. Don't think I'm missing anything. Dark Magic Inheritance. This is a card you could also play if you want to. I'm not going to in this build because I just don't think there's enough spells for me to put in the graveyard quickly enough to use it turn 1. I don't want to have any dead cards turn 1. I try to limit that as much as possible as we can in a Dark Magician deck. Alright, so now let's take a look at Shaddoll stuff. Shaddoll stuff, we have that structure deck coming out in a few weeks, I believe, so a lot of these cards should be accessible really soon. I know cards like Shaddoll Dragon haven't had a reprint since the dawn of dinosaurs, but they are going to be accessible soon. And now we have to take a look at the best Shaddoll cards, which right away, Dragon and Beast come to mind. I'm going to play 2 copies of these cards because I don't want to draw too many Shaddoll cards, but they are nice to have if you have Secrets of Dark Magic, which can be searched by Magician's Rod and Dark Magical Circle. They're also just dark, so we can already tell we're going to probably be playing a Lauren here. Shaddoll Fusion. This card is what allows us to go first or second. If we lose the die roll and we have Shaddoll Fusion, we can probably break some boards because this card is just very, very good. But if we go first, we can also use it to just fusion summon Winda, which a lot of decks just don't have the out to it, believe it or not. And then for our fusions, we're just going to run Winda here, 2 copies. I was contemplating between 1 or 2 constructs. I think it'll be 2 constructs for now. And then when the structure that comes out, I can probably play 1 of Shaddoll and maybe one Wendigo. Shaddoll's pretty good, but she's not TCG legal yet, so we'll skip her. One Falco for some reborning, and one Hedgehog. I believe that should do it for the Shaddoll stuff. Kind of look at the Shaddoll cards because they are essentially vanillas in the hand. They do have some utility, but in today's current meta game, it's not very good utility. But we need them for the sake of Winda. Secrets of Dark Magic, we need to have Dark Magicians in the hand in order to use. So I did forget about one Dark Magician card, and that would be Illusion Magic, which is searchable. We'll play one copy because we don't really want to see it. Like if we have Dark Magician in our hand already, we don't want to see this card. We don't want to search it. But if we need Dark Magician, it's there for us to search off of Magician's Rod. Unpopular decision, but I think Pot of Desires is fine here. You would think we don't want to banish these cards, the one-ofs, but we actually don't care if we do. If we can keep them in our deck, it only just procs more draws off of Soul Servant. Remember, Soul Servant can draw anywhere from 1 to 4 cards. But with Pot of Desires, if we banish these cards, we're not really hurting too much. We can kind of get away with banishing these cards, essentially is what I'm saying. Drawing 2 cards, advancing our game state, turboing to our favorite boss monster here, Winda, and so forth and so forth. And then for more draw power, Allure of Darkness, and Upstart. So, I know one of the questions everyone's probably having right now is hand traps. I would put hand traps in here, but I don't want to just go ahead and just slap a deck together with hand traps. I'd rather that you guys take this blueprint, this build, see what you like and what you don't like, and then replace those cards with hand traps if you feel comfortable with them. I personally haven't played with hand traps in so long. It's almost like a mind-boggling memory for me. I just don't really play hand traps too much. People at my locals know I don't play hand traps. I'm known as the Grand Maju guy, and I completely hate that thing so much. But yeah, I don't play hand traps, and that's how I am. But you could easily take out cards like Allure, consistency cards like Allure, Upstart, maybe cut this down to 2 and play hand traps if you feel like you need to run hand traps. If you go first and you can establish Winda, a lot of times that's enough for game, especially when you can establish Eternal Soul loops with Dark Magical Circle as well. As not only will that give you that Winda protection, but it also give you the ability to banish something. So if they were to summon like a Gizmek or whatever, you can just special summon Dark Magician, banish the Gizmek, and now that was their one special summon for the turn. Winda stays on board, Dark Magician stays on board, and then you just like OTK them next turn. Which is kind of how this deck is played. I'll probably put up some dual videos with this over the next day or two, because this deck is definitely a lot of fun, and it can compete pretty well with the meta. Definitely not the best, not by any means, but it's a pretty good deck, I'll say. As for the rest of the extra deck, we can kind of just play around with other stuff. Oh man, I don't know how to spell Appaloosa. I'm awful at this. Appaloosa. Deck probably can't make Appaloosa too much, but I still run it anyway. Masquerena. This is probably like one of the deck's better combos. Is like opening up Magician's Soul and Magician's Rod can allow you to like establish your Dark Magician circulation with Circle and Eternal Soul. So you can just like link these 2 away, Rod and Souls, make IP, and then on your opponent's turn, you have Eternal Soul, bring back Dark Magician, banish a card, and then you can link Masquerena and Magician into our trusty Unicorn. And I guess we'll play the rest of the Nightmare package too. No harm done there. Another really good card, and I think this card is extremely good, and it's probably going to be seeing a lot of play in the upcoming formats and metagames. Cross Sheep. Cross Sheep is essentially just a watered down Norden. Norden is banned for a reason. I don't think I need to say anything else. What else do we got here? Borrowsword for sure. Borrowsword for sure, because this kind of just also helps you end games pretty quickly. There is another card that I wanted to put in here. I can't remember. I think it was a World Chalice guy. Yeah, this thing. You can make him just a Dark Magician. I'll tell you why that's important in a minute as soon as I find it. Dark Magician, the Dragon Knight, I think it was called. Yeah. So this, with Secrets of Dark Magic and another Dark Magician in your hand, can make this guy, which is essentially just like a nice little soft lock with Eternal Soul. Because he's treated as Dark Magician. So while Eternal Soul is face up, all your Dark Magicians are unaffected by card effects. And while he's face up, all your spells and traps can't be targeted or destroyed by card effects. So it's a nice little soft lock. He's a 3k beater, and he'd be unaffected by everything. And worst comes to worst, you can just link this guy away. He's an effect monster, so that'll help to make Borrowsword. And finally, Zeroboros. Sounds like a Resident Evil thing. So yeah, that's kind of what we're looking at here for the main deck. It is not bad at all. I've been playing this deck for a little bit, and it is fun. It is very fun, but it can be a little frustrating. Some hands are bleh. But most of the time, as long as you see Magicians Rod and Souls, or either or, if you see both of them, it's really nice. If you see one or the other, it's pretty good. Nice little combo with this deck is if you see any of your draw cards and Soul Servant, you can essentially decide what you're going to draw. You would just activate Pot of Desires, banish 10, chain Soul Servant, put like Magician Souls on top, and then draw 2. And you'll probably see that in some of the combo videos or just regular duel videos that I'm going to post up in the following days after I post this deck list up. So going over reviewing our laws one more time, our goal is simple. Summon Winda, get to Winda, and then establish our Dark Magician interrupt. Most decks can't out this, but if they do have the out, we should also have the counter out to their out, if that makes sense. And then number 2 is avoid as many 2-card combos as possible. So we have play a lot of cards that generate cards by themselves. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Essentially those 15 cards that I just went through. And I guess Dark Magician for this particular case would be the staples in your Dark Magician deck. Not really desires, I guess for this deck it is. But at least the bare minimum, these 6 cards here, and these 3 and these 3. These are like the staples in any Dark Magician deck you play. And when we get the fusion monster, whenever we get it, I think Red Eyes Dragoon, this deck might actually see a little more play, might be a lot better, but time will tell for that. So guys, if nothing else, that'll do it for me here, at least in showing you guys a deck. If you guys did enjoy this video and the explanations, be sure to drop a like and subscribe, as well as comment on what you guys want to see in the future in terms of these deck builds. I do enjoy deck building. I do find it almost like a silly little hobby. I can literally build anything. I've been known at my locals as the guy that just builds off-the-wall decks. I was the guy that made Danger Machu, for God's sakes. So with that in mind, just drop a comment there. Let me know what you guys want to see. I do have the next deck video ready. I'm going to begin working on that one as soon as I drop this one. But after that, I'll start taking recommendations from you guys. Just be sure to let me know what you guys want to see. And if nothing else, I will see you guys in the next one. Peace.